What is up, everybody? Welcome back into Tide Talk Live. Stacy Blackwood, joined as always by my two co-hosts, Jake Thomas and Joe Will. Guys, how are y'all doing on this Monday night?
Man, I'm doing great. I had a great day at work, and it's good to be back. We got a lot to talk about. Joe, we know you had a birthday over the weekend, so hope that went well, and good to have you tonight.
Yeah, I'm glad to be in here as always on a Monday. My birthday was nice. Had some plans with some friends. We had a good time, but I'm ready to hop in here and talk some Alabama basketball as the SEC tournament approaches.
Yeah, there's a lot to look. Like Jake said, there's a lot to talk about tonight. Already got our first smart Elliot comment of the evening. Hey,
Thanks, Jason.
better late than never.
That's right.
But
That's right.
got a lot to talk about. The SEC tournament starts on Wednesday night. Uh, And of course, Alabama's got the double bye as the number one seed, and they won't play until Friday in the quarterfinals. So that's great. They kind of got a easy. I don't want to say easy draw. They got the good side of the bracket, in my opinion. When you're looking at their first game will either be against Mississippi State or Florida. So and we're going to talk about all those matchups and kind of how that looks moving forward. But just real quick, it looks like a pretty favorable draw for Alabama.
Yeah, I agree 100%. They have they have struggled at times with the Mississippi State teams, but I think if they can regroup and bounce back from what happened last Saturday and the loss at A&M, just to refocus, I think they'll be okay at the tournament time.
Yeah, and we're going to talk here in just a second about the Texas A&M game real quick before we really dive into the SEC tournament, because I think we really need to start there if we're looking at it from an Alabama standpoint, which is an Alabama show. So, look, this team has not really played its best basketball over the last couple of weeks. Really ever since the Brandon Miller story started to break and all that started being covered. This team has just not really looked the same. They struggled against South Carolina, but they got the win. They struggled and got the win against Arkansas. Same thing against Auburn at home. But then, against Texas A&M on the road against a really good team. They got off to another slow start, and that's really kind of been the story in all these games is the slow starts, and somehow they managed to find their way right back in it over in the closing minutes of each contest. And they just wasn't able to get the win on Saturday against Texas A&M. But if you look at this from from a I don't know, 1,000-foot view, how would you assess the team, Jake, right now, and what do you think is kind of the reason behind their struggles as of late?
Well, number one is we can't get the shots to fall like we had earlier, earlier in the season. I think I saw the press conference post game. Nate Oates talked about that. And I think we're like 10 of the last like 44 or 45 and three point is going down. So it's the shots are not falling, and the guards, they just have not, some of them had not played like they have been. They kind of like on a cold spur right now. But I think this is like a reset. Let them get going. Let's regroup, get everybody's mindset ready, and I think we're going to show up like we're the number one team, like we have been, this season. Joe, what you got?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. Obviously, going into this game, going into probably the last four games we knew
Mm-hmm.
would be challenging. Um, Texas A&M is not an explosive team on offense, but they're very well coached with Buzz Williams. They always have been. And then defensively, they do a good job of suffocating you. So traveling to College Station, we knew we were going to get their best shot. And that arena was packed full of people.
Right.
The three-point shooting has been an issue. I know people don't want to admit that it's been an issue. If you look at the 3-point shots we take per game and then compare that to our efficiency, we're not very efficient. I think we're like out of the top 100 and percent makes, and we shoot a lot of threes per game. We're top 10 in that category. So that's something that's been a pretty big issue for us recently. And so I'm hoping we can sort that out. We have shown that it's not necessarily, I like to say you live and die by the three. We have shown that we don't need 3-point shooting to be up for us to win games, but I think it's an issue, and I think it's something that really needs to be addressed if we want to make a deep tournament run. If you're going to be shooting 35, 40 threes a game, you got to make half of them maybe, or even less than half. It has to be better.
I love that comment right below me there.
And that's why I put it up. I agree with you, Ronnie. I think we kind of got a little, I don't know, spoiled this season with the team because they started conference play just completely dominating everybody. And I don't care. The greatest Kentucky teams ever didn't beat every SEC opponent by double digits.
That's right.
I mean, you got to think this Alabama team is the first team since the 54-55 Kentucky team to beat 3 different opponents by 40 points or more in the same season.
That's
So
right.
I think we really need to take a step back and realize that this team is not perfect. There's a lot of young players on this team. 3 freshmen start. Mark Sears is a transfer, so it's his first year at Alabama. Charles Bediako is a true sophomore playing about his 4th or 5th year of basketball of his entire life. So I think we get a little carried away. This team was just completely blowing out all these SEC teams, and we kind of thought that was going to be the standard, and that's really an unrealistic standard to kind of hold this team to. And the fact that they haven't really played their best against Arkansas and Auburn and Texas A&M, but they get 2 out of those 3 games. I mean, you gotta think that counts for something, because they're not going to be playing a true road game like they did in College Station anymore the rest of the year. That played a big factor in the way that game played out, especially at the end of the ball game. Look, I don't want to get on officials, but there was an and one opportunity for Brandon Miller with about 2.5, 3 minutes left. And if that call goes his way, and instead of it being called a charge, which it could have because it was really a ticky-tacky call, then that game would have been different. Alabama probably would have won that game, because at that point in time, they had all the momentum, and that really would have just changed the game.
Right.
And instead, he gets called for the charge, and then the next possession down, he gets another defensive foul. He gets called for a foul on a 3-point shot when he blocks the ball before he ever makes contact with anybody. So those are the type of things that, like, I think it's important to. Everything is about context, and I think if you look at it from the right point of view, that there's really not much to complain about with this basketball team. This, considering the amount of young players they have, and considering all the off the court issues that's been going on, for them to be 26-5, 16-2 in the SEC, you're not going to hear me complain about those guys very much.
No, you're 100% right, Stacy. Pre Nate Oates, I mean, where was this basketball team headed before he come in? So, or this basketball program, that is. It's just what he has done. He's changed the complexion. He's changed the program. And even though we had all these issues this year, it's still in a great spot to where it has been. So,
yeah, and Oates has been here 3 years. I think we've won the SEC 2 out of 3 years. So, I mean, that's considered success. I talked about it before the show. I asked you guys, let's say we make obviously we're going to make the March Madness tournament, but we win 1 or 2 games. How do fans view the season as a whole? Because obviously the regular season would be successful, but I know everyone has high expectations for this team, and part of that, going into the year, we didn't think this team would be at this point that they're at now. But I guess kind of what are your guys' thoughts? Let's say we get bounced after a couple of games.
Okay, hey, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're on the other side. Joe, I'm going to get you to kind of go over that question one more time, and then we'll all give our input on that. And, of course, everybody in the chat, we want y'all to do the same. But we're going to take a quick time out for a commercial break, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, I want to tell you a little bit about BetUS.com. Make sure you click the link in the description below, sign up today, and make that first deposit. And when you do, you will be instantly rewarded with a 125% bonus from BetUS.com. And then you will also be entered into our contest for a $500 giveaway once we receive 30 signups from our link. So click the link in the description below and sign up today at BetUS.com. All right, guys. All right, Joe has brought up a great question that I think that everybody in the chat's going to want to kind of chime in on as well. So, Joe, once again, go over that question so we can kind of discuss that and everybody give their opinion on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Before the break, I asked the question: what would Alabama fans consider as a success for this season? You know, obviously, we want to win the SEC tournament. We would like to make a deep run into March, but let's say we win one or two games. Does that change your outlook on the season as a whole? Or, you know, are you able to just kind of take a step back and say, hey, we weren't expected to be at this point that we're at now, and just kind of be thankful for the season? I know we can be nitpicky as fans, so I figured I'd pose that question.
Jake, go ahead, buddy.
Well, me personally, and me being selfish, I want to get a Final Four out of it because apparently, according to Auburn fans, you make one Final Four and you're automatically a blue blood. So you know, I want to be considered a blue blood. So let's go for it for that you know, Final Four. But realistically, this team I still feel like can get an Elite Eight berth, but with all the outside noise and stuff going on right now, how are they going to be, you know, mentally, are they going to be up for that? But if they get a reset here and they just put all that behind them and they roll through the SEC tournament and make it to the finals, then I think we're set up good come tournament time, March Madness time, for a deep run. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and look, a lot of this we'll know a little bit more about kind of the focus, or not really the focus, but the kind of the mindset of the team once the SEC tournament starts. Because I think following the loss to A&M, maybe that this team can kind of breathe a sigh of relief now that the regular season is over. They don't have to worry about winning the SEC regular season anymore. They don't have to worry about traveling to hostile environments anymore and worried about all that crowd and all that goes with that, because that's been rough on them guys. If you can hear it through the TV what those students are chanting, and so they don't have to worry about that aspect of it anymore. So if the team regroups and refocuses, I mean, there's no. I don't see how they don't make a Final Four, because they're such a complete team. I mean, they have everything you're looking for. You know, they have scores, they have defenders, they have rebounders, they have playmakers who can set everybody else up. So this team has all the makeup of a Final Four team. But if I'm you know, to answer Joe's question, for it to be considered a successful season, even to me, if you reach the Sweet 16, I don't care how great of a team you have. If you reach the Sweet 16, that is a win. If you're one of the top 16 teams in the country, I mean, you know how many teams there are in college basketball? First of all, there's 68 teams that technically make the field. So if you're the top 16 of those, you got to be proud of your program, because that means you got a consistent winner. And look, I won't be satisfied with making the Sweet 16, but I would be more than content with making the Sweet 16 for this team.
I think also too that something we haven't brought up is it depends on who's on your side of the bracket.
Right. I mean, there's so many variables.
Yeah, right now, Lenardi has Purdue on our side of the bracket. Obviously,
oh god,
you know that could change depending on how the Big Ten tourney plays out and how the SEC tourney plays out. But you know, if we got Purdue on our side, I mean, the path's going to be tough. Or there's some other teams on our side that have kind of snuck into the tournament and won a bunch of games and are on fire right now. It really, I mean, the whole tournament is luck, but it also depends on not only how your team's doing, but how you match up against the teams that are on your side of the bracket as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if we do have to pair up with Purdue, if we are put in they're put in the same region we are, that is pretty much will be an Elite Eight matchup, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, I
Right.
would,
That would be an
yeah,
Elite Eight matchup.
yeah,
Yes.
I would be perfectly happy with an Elite Eight berth for sure. Sweet 16, especially because, like Stacy mentioned, I mean, the top 16 teams and all these teams that you're playing against have either won their their seed or won their conference. They're at large bids, which most of them getting in at large with 20 plus wins. So I mean, they're great teams that's going to be in this tournament. So if you're one of the 16 or one of the 8, I consider that a win.
Yeah, I'm with that. That's how I view college basketball. It is so hard to win a national championship in college basketball. I mean, look, Duke had Coach K for how many years? And look, I know they won a bunch of titles, but I mean, how many seasons would you look at the year that they had and say, how did they not win the national championship? And they lose in the round of 32 because
Right.
basketball is such a weird game. I don't. I mean, Alabama could be the best team in the country by a long shot, but if they go out there and shoot 3 of 30 from three, and the other team goes 16 of 30, they're not going to win.
Right.
And it's not because the other team is better. They just played better that day, and it's just that's what makes March Madness so much fun and the tournament so much fun because of all the ebbs and flows of the game and who gets hot and who's not, and it's just it's something that event is. It's different from any other sporting event to me in the country, and I think that's what makes it so much fun.
Absolutely.
All right, look, we've talked about, the NCAA tournament. We kind of got ahead of ourselves. We're going to be looking at the SEC tournament here in just a minute. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're really close to 2,000 subscribers. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. I think like 86% of our audience is not subscribed. So please do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Help us reach 2,000 subscribers. Hit that like button and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook and Twitter and wherever you are on social media. We're fixing to take one more final time out real quick. And on the other side, we're going to be talking about the SEC tournament and how we think that is going to play out. But real quick, we're going to take a time out and hear from Latourn Watches here in just a second if I can find the ad. All right, I want to tell you a little bit about Latourn Watches. If you click the link in the description below, you're going to be carried to latournwatches.com where they have a vast selection of stylish yet affordable watches for all shapes and sizes. And when you click that link in the description below and you get carried to that website, when you sign out, you will receive free shipping on that watch. So make sure you follow the link in the description below and buy you a beautiful watch from Latourn Watches. All right, guys, welcome back in. Look, one thing that we want to discuss real quick before we talk about the SEC tournament is all the hardware that Alabama brought home today and all the SEC accolades. Of course, Brandon Miller's freshman of the year. Excuse me, he's the player of the year. Deservedly so. How the Wooden Award, and I don't want to get off on a tangent here because I could punch my computer screen because Brandon Miller was not named to the final Wooden Watch list, which is an absolute joke and travesty. Yep. If you're not going to give it or even at least nominate who is unquestionably the best player in the SEC and most likely the top 2 or 3 player in the country, if you're not even going to nominate him, then don't give out the award for the best player in college basketball. Just give it up. Mm-hmm. That is an absolute joke, and if you say it's because of the off the court issues, I'd like to know which ones. Are you talking about the one the media created?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That fires me up. It's ridiculous, but yeah, congratulations for Brandon Miller, deservedly so. SEC Player of the Year, Freshman of the Year, several first and second team players, defensive player awards. Or nominees. Just. The team's covered up with accolades and hardware from the SEC, so really excited about that. And, Bediako, I think, was first team all defense. Mark Sears was second team all conference. Noah Clowney was second team all conference.
Clowney and Jaden Bradley also made all freshman team.
You're right.
Nice.
And then one thing that stuck out to me, which I thought was pretty neat, was that Javon Quinterly was co-sixth man of the year. Obviously, we know how he's performed the last couple of games. He's had 16 points against Arkansas, 24 against Auburn, and and 12 against A&M. So as long as I talked about last show, as long as we can get him playing well into the SEC tournament and into March Madness, that would be huge for this team.
Mm-hmm. Before we talk about this, Ronnie brings up a point, and I would not put this past him.
Right.
I mean, because look, I'm not really about conspiracies, but the way the end of that A&M game was called, Brandon Miller was called for 3 fouls in like a minute and a half's time.
Yeah.
When the game was down to the wire. 2 of them were not fouls on him. One of them was obviously a foul. The last one where he fouled out, that was a foul. But the other 2, it's just don't give a piss about nothing but the Tide, yeah.
Yep.
Well, let me get this up here. But as far as if the committee might give us a tough road, I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked because I don't want to get on. I don't want to get political, so I'm just going to leave it at that.
You're right.
I do want to push back on that a little bit. One of the issues that I have had with our fans this year is we like to complain about the refs, and there have been plenty of bad calls, but obviously that's kind of the nature of the game. And I do see a lot of people acting like the referees are out to get us. I don't think that's the case. I think, certain refs call things certain ways. It might seem like when it's called on your team that they're out to get you, but I want to push back on that and say that I don't think the refs are out to get Alabama, and I don't think in the tournament that they're going to be out to get us. But at the same time, you just kind of have to go with the flow. And if that's the case for whatever reason, if one of these referees has a personal vendetta against you, you just have to take it on the chin and maybe use that as a chip on your shoulder. And I mean, that's what you're gonna have to do for Alabama with the stuff.
And mine's not even so much about the officials, because the officials are. I don't care what game you watch. They almost make it unwatchable because they're so bad.
For every sport, really.
Every
sport.
It's pathetic. I mean, I can't even watch just Iowa State and Kansas play each other because the officiating's so bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes you not want to watch it because, like, it's either one or two ways. Either they're letting them play rugby, or they're playing, I don't know, like badminton or something. Something that's like the most least contact sport you could ever imagine. I don't even know what that would be, but I mean, it's ridiculous. Like I don't, and it'll be called both ways in the same game, and it's not just one sided; it's both ways, and it's ridiculous. Like, and I know Auburn had the same thing when they played at A&M, where A&M shot like 6,000 free throws, and Alabama and Auburn got to shoot like 10, and
right.
It's just it's something about playing in that arena, I guess.
Yeah, man, I just want to say that the chat is popping tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining the show and putting your input out there. It's awesome to see. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to make sure I haven't missed anything in the chat that is just real noteworthy. Yeah. Yeah, everybody's agreeing about the officials.
Yeah, I would say this. Going back to Brandon Miller not winning the Player of the Year award, maybe he can use that as motivation moving forward. So that might be something he can take, even though he don't need no more help getting any better. Because I mean, he is an absolute stud. But talking about chips on your shoulder, maybe he has one because he got snubbed for that.
That's a good point. I mean, maybe that's a good motivation tool for him. Mm-hmm. I just have a feeling that this team is not going to go through the shooting slump that they've went through over the last couple of weeks. They have
much worse.
I mean, it's like I don't know how, like, against A&M in that first half, I don't think that any of us would go 1 of 16 blindfolded.
No.
One of the issues I have too is I don't know if I've ever seen Noah Clowney make a three. Like, the shots that he's taking, they're close, but I don't know if I've ever actually seen him make one. Obviously, he's made one, but and recently, yeah, it's been rough. And every time he goes to shoot, I'm like, why are you shooting? Please.
Well, and the reason he's shooting is because that's what they're coached to do, and because that's who they are. That's their identity. And there was a time during the season where Clowney was pretty hot from three. I'm looking up his stats right now. He's 26.5% from three. He's 26 of 98 on the season. So I mean, you'd like for him to at 6'10", I can live with really 27% for a guy that's 6'10", but
I feel like that his height would be better used down low though. Like
he's not a very physical player yet though. He might weigh 200 pounds.
Yeah. Well, I was really hoping last year. Obviously, it didn't work out with Alex Chiku, but
yeah,
that's the one complaint I've had. Kind of is we haven't really had a dominant or even like close to dominant big man.
Right. Bediako's a good rim protector, but he don't have any beef to him. He's just long. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just he's not really going to overpower anybody, and it's I guess it would be hard to kind of implement somebody like that when you're trying to play as spread out as Alabama does, because you got to have somebody that's able to run the floor, and most of the time, them beefy guys can't run the floor that well. So I'm sure there's a rhyme and a reason to what Nate Oates is doing, and it's really kind of hard to argue with the results. They're 26-5, right. And just been a little bit of a slump over the last couple of weeks. And it's even been Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller's like 2 of the last 18 from 3. So like oh, okay. I was wondering who this was.
I kind of had a feeling it was you, Joel. I wasn't 100% sure though. So
it's an interesting profile picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was throwing me. I've been thinking this whole show, who the heck is that?
Yeah.
But all right, let's dive in real quick to the SEC tournament. Like, I mean, we've had SEC tournament talk on our bottom banner the whole entire show, and we yet to even talk. It was a gigantic tease for nearly 30 minutes. But look, let's look at the bracket real quick, and we can kind of talk about how we think these matchups are going to work out, who we think might win the tournament, and all that. Let me get it pulled back up real quick. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if y'all follow Shot Quality on Twitter or not, but it is a very interesting algorithm they use. In the Alabama A&M game, Alabama would win that game 66% of the time, considering the quality of shots that each team took. Alabama's shot quality score, so the score they should have gotten to, based on the amount of quality shots they attempted, they should have scored 82 points. Instead, they scored just 61. So that kind of tells you a little bit about, and this is I have another complaint about commentators before, one more thing before we dive into SEC tournament talk. All commentators talk about is how great A&M's defense was. And look, they were great. Don't get me wrong. Texas A&M played great defensively. Mm-hmm. But do y'all know how many wide open shots Alabama missed on Saturday?
A bunch.
I mean, they had plenty of wide. I wish for once they'd say, look, A&M's playing great defense, but you can't miss as many open shots as what Alabama's missed and expect to be in this game. They act like it's completely because of A&M. I'm sorry, if you're standing wide open and nobody's within 15 feet of you and you don't make it, that's not because they were playing good defense.
Right.
It's just because you didn't make your shot. No Jimmy Dykes slander allowed. God, he drives me crazy too. I mean, I like him on one hand, and on the other hand, it's just he's too much. But all right, look.
And one other thing,
yeah,
the Ken Palm efficiency come out today for as they do offensive and defensive efficiency. Alabama's in a league of its own according to that. So I mean, Alabama defensively and offensively, I mean they are the best out there. So that just shows you when your shots ain't going down, you're going to lose some games.
Right, and that's what makes basketball different from any other sport.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how great of a team you are, if your shots are not falling, and I know that it sounds cliche to say it, but it's the truth. If you're not making shots, it's going to be hard to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot of factors into going and making shots, and I'm telling you, Alabama gets, because of their ability to drive the basketball, they have so many open shot opportunities every game. and they just haven't been falling over lately. And I just feel like that that's going to change real soon. Easy Money, thank you so much for stopping in tonight. Hope you have a good night. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Thank you so much for joining the show. All right, guys, let's stick to the task at hand. Let's look at the SEC tournament real quick. Let's see. Let's look. Who's the first matchup? I just had it pulled up, and now I've lost it again. All right. So the first matchup is Ole Miss.
Game by game.
Yeah, let's go. Let's kind of go game by game prediction. We'll go through it rather quickly just to kind of. We got Ole Miss and South Carolina in the 13-12 matchup on Wednesday night at 7. I feel like that Ole Miss. I know they don't have a coach, but I feel like overall they're a better team than what South Carolina is. But on the other hand, South Carolina has that freshman who's capable of exploding for some points.
H.E. Johnson.
Yeah. Jackson is his last name, I think. But I don't know. Who you got in that game, Jake?
I'm taking Ole Miss as well. No coach. I don't think it's going to be much of a problem in this game.
I'm going South Carolina. You talked about the freshman Jackson, how good he is. Also, they've got Michi Johnson. He's a junior. He's averaging 12 points a game. He's been pretty hot lately, so I'm going to actually go with South Carolina here in this one.
The more I think about it, I think South Carolina probably does take care of Ole Miss. They probably have a little bit more firepower, which is not saying much. There's not going to be a lot of points scored in that game. Yeah, Michi Johnson. That's it.
Yeah,
And Gigi Jackson. Yeah. The Johnsons and Jackson got mixed up.
Yeah.
Then you'll have the 14-11 matchup of LSU and Georgia. My gosh, LSU is terrible.
Wow.
And Georgia's not playing great as of late either, but I got to think Georgia beats LSU.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm going with Georgia here.
Apparently, I'm just going against the grain on this one. I'm going to take LSU. They haven't been great, but I do think talent-wise, they have a better roster. I was talking about Michi Johnson for South Carolina. KJ Williams for LSU has been playing very well lately. So I'm going to go with LSU just solely based off of roster talent, which, doesn't always win you the game.
Roster talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so on Thursday we'll have the 8-9 matchup between Florida and Mississippi State, and of course that winner will go on to play Alabama on Friday. I think Mississippi State gets this win. I think they're a little bit better than what Florida is.
I'm going to take Florida here. I think they can get it done. It's going to be a very tight game, but give me Florida by just a hair.
I'm going to go with Florida as well. I'm not sure what the status is. I think Colin Castleton's out for the year. I think he broke his hand.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I think that Riley Kugel's been playing well for them. They have a couple other guys that are pretty solid players. So I'm going to go Florida. So I'm just going against Stacy, apparently.
All right, so we're going to go South Carolina against Tennessee in the 12-5 matchup. I think we're all probably going to consensusly take Tennessee in that game.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, even without Zakai Ziegler, I still think Tennessee is a defensive nightmare. I mean, they're so boring to watch on offense.
Yes, my gosh.
A defensive nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather watch Jake run the 40.
Oh, my God.
And it'd probably take just as long as the basketball game.
Hey, once they get this gut going, I can run, but it takes a minute to get that gut rolling.
All right, then we got Arkansas and Auburn. I know the fans will love to interact with this one in the chat. Who you guys got?
Let's see. Man, that's a tough matchup. Both teams are kind of not, to me, have not played up to their potential, especially Arkansas this year. I think there was like maybe a top 3 pick early in the season. So I think I'm going to take Arkansas here.
I'll go with Arkansas too. For whatever reason, I've been so high on Arkansas this year. They haven't been able to put it all together for most of the season, but they're actually one of the teams that I pick to make probably a deep March Madness run. I don't know how the bracket's going to play out, but I have them in my Final Four. I love their guards. Nick Smith Jr., come back from injury. He's been playing really well, had 25 points in the loss to to Kentucky, and then you got Anthony Black, Devontae Davis, Ricky Council. I mean, they just have so many talented players. So I'm gonna go with Arkansas on that, but also Auburn. If you can get Wendell Green shooting well and you get Johnny Brom crossing the boards, I think they have a chance. But I think people are sleeping on Arkansas, and I think they're one of these teams that is poised for a lot of success here.
I would say real quick, Auburn may have to play for a chance to play in the NCAA tournament in this game, so they may be hyped up. They might be on the outside looking in at this point.
Man, blue blood.
Yeah.
Tough scene.
I know. So they actually may come out and play hard.
I think Arkansas wins too. I wish there was a way that neither one of these teams could win.
A hole opens up and swallows both of them.
Yes, I mean, and it's not even Arkansas; it's their coach. Eric Musselman is the biggest jerk.
The littlest jerk, actually.
The little. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
The littlest jerk. All right, now so we all picked Arkansas to move on. Who did you pick between Georgia and LSU, Jake?
I got Georgia. So
all right, so Georgia's moving on to play Vanderbilt which should be a 6 versus 11 seed.
Vandy.
Vandy, what a boring game.
Yeah, I wish they had Liam Robbins.
Yep.
So I think that they're going to get the better of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now let's move on to day 3. We'll start at the bottom here. We got Vanderbilt and Kentucky.
Whew. That's a good matchup. I think Kentucky started playing a lot better here lately. I can't remember his name, but the white boy that come back from injury, he had like a rib injury. It's out like 4 or 5 games, and once he come back, boy, they started playing real well. So I actually going to take Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kentucky as well. I was talking about Arkansas and how much faith and how much trust I have in them as we get closer and closer to the tournament. Obviously, Arkansas and Kentucky played each other. Kentucky won, but I think Kentucky has been on fire lately, and I think they're hitting their stride of late.
Yeah, if Vanderbilt had Lim Robbins, I would pick Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But without him, I just think Kentucky's going to be too much for Vanderbilt in this matchup. So I have Kentucky as well. Then we got Arkansas versus Texas A&M. Joe, I think I know who you're going to pick.
Yeah, I'm going Arkansas.
All right, Jake, who you got?
I'm actually taking an upset. I'm taking Arkansas too.
Okay. Well, so my pick does not matter. I'm going to pick Texas A&M because y'all are wrong.
Yeah, well, we might.
We'll see. We'll bookmark these picks. We'll come back to them.
Yeah.
All right, so now we got Tennessee versus Missouri, which I think is a very, very interesting matchup.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Missouri has the win over Tennessee because they had the same record.
Yeah, they hit the buzzer beater. That's when Tennessee lost back-to-back games on buzzer beaters to Vanderbilt, Missouri.
Yeah, so I think Tennessee comes out for revenge, and I think they win.
I'm going to go with Missouri. Obviously, this game kind of depends on how well Kobe Brown plays for them.
Right.
Overall, this year he's played well, but he's struggled a little bit, and thankfully, Demoy Hodge, who's a senior, has really picked up play for them. Looking at his last couple games, 14, 23, 18, 16, 12. So he's been dependable. If Kobe Brown is right for this game and Demoy Hodge is continuing to score double digits, I think that they'll have no problem taking care of Tennessee.
See, I hope Missouri wins, but I just have a feeling it's going to be Tennessee. I think they're just a little bit better overall team than what Missouri is. I think it's going to be one of those like 64 to 62 type games that's boring to watch, suffocating. So I got Tennessee moving on to the semifinals. Then we got the last quarterfinal matchup between Alabama and who do we have going there?
Arkansas? Was it?
It's Florida, Mississippi State. I think me and Joe picked Florida, didn't we?
Okay, so Alabama and Florida. I'm going with Alabama. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to Alabama.
Yeah, I'll go Bama.
All right, now
Bama show.
The semifinals are set now. You got Kentucky versus Kentucky versus Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
And Tennessee versus Alabama. We'll start with the Kentucky-Arkansas matchup. Joe, who you got?
I think in the rematch, Arkansas wins. I think they shoot a lot better. I think Nick Smith Jr. goes off. I mean, he had 25 points, but I think this is a game where he drops like 30 plus. So I'll take Arkansas.
I am taking Kentucky. I mean, I don't think anybody here lately has had an answer for their big man. Oh,
yeah, Shreeboy's been on fire, and Reeves has been lights out from three.
Yeah, so I think Kentucky moves on.
That'll be a damn good game, I'll tell you what.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm going with Kentucky. I just feel like this is almost like how I feel about the Missouri Tennessee game. Not as far as how the game's going to play out, but just I feel like overall Kentucky is just a better team right now than what Arkansas is. Arkansas has just been too up and down for my liking. I know Kentucky struggled early on in the season, but the back half of the SEC schedule they've played really well. They're fresh off a win on the road at Arkansas, so I got to take Kentucky in this matchup, and they're going to move on to play for the SEC championship. Then we got Alabama versus Tennessee in the other semifinal matchup. I'm going to go on a limb and guess that y'all guys are going to pick Alabama.
Yeah, I do. As long as that game's not being played in Tennessee, which it isn't, I think I'm comfortable picking Alabama.
Yeah, I agree. I think we know how physical Tennessee is going to be. I think we show up, be physical with them, be more physical than they are. We get our revenge, we get in there, and we get into the SEC finals.
All right, so we got a SEC championship matchup between Alabama and Kentucky. Wow. I mean, you don't get – and first of all, the fact that Alabama ain't got to play Kentucky to the championship game is like the first time ever. They always run to them like in the second round. Mm-hmm. Even on their best years, it's always running in Kentucky really early on in the SEC bracket. But so we got Alabama playing Kentucky. I think this is one of those games that could go either way, and depending on, and a lot of this is going to have to do with how Alabama defends Oscar Tshiebwe and how well Alabama's knocking down the outside shots. I'm going to pick Alabama. I think they're the better team overall. They've proved that throughout the SEC schedule. They blasted Kentucky in Coleman Coliseum earlier this year. So I'm going to go with Alabama, but I think it's one heck of a basketball game.
Joe, you want to go next?
Yeah, people aren't going to be too happy with me, but I'm going to go with Kentucky. I know we beat them by 26 in Coleman, but I mean we've been talking about it the last 10 minutes or so about how well they played lately. I know when we played them back in January, Tshiebwe had 4 points and 6 rebounds. I don't think that's going to be the case this go round. I think he'll have a big game, and unfortunately, I'm going to pick Kentucky to beat us, but it's not really a knock against Alabama. I think, like I said, I think Kentucky will be a deep tournament team. So both great teams, but phenomenal matchup, but I'm going to go with Kentucky. So throw the tomatoes at me, everybody in the comments.
Yeah. Boo, boo.
I can hear the chat saying boo right now.
Yeah, somebody just punched the computer screen.
Yeah, boo this man. I'm actually picking Alabama. You talk about Zimbabwe, whatever his name is. Tshiebwe, yeah. I'm terrible with names. If I ain't got it in front of me, I can't think of it on the fly. But anyway, yeah, he struggled in Coleman. I think his physical. We actually just outmanned him inside, and that great credit to Alabama.
Well, Alabama made him run, and
Exactly.
that's not his game. They made him run up and down the court the first 6 minutes of that game, and he was gassed.
Yeah.
And he was fouling because he was gassed, and he just never could find.
I'm sure Coach Calipari will have some plan to counteract what we showed against him back in January.
Right, but and no, it wasn't. I just did not know his name. But anyway,
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, and then Tshiebwe. We need to go back to like Millers and stuff like that in basketball, so I can remember
Millers and Johnsons and Jacksons.
Yeah, but anyway, so I watched a Kentucky game after they played Alabama, and they was really feeding him inside. So I think if they go that route, we just smother him and force him to beat us and cover everybody else. And I don't think anything in inside, we got to box him out and get the rebounds and out rebound Kentucky. I think we're gonna be okay. The audacity of Joe. Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's one thing you'll learn quick about me from watching this show. I will not shy away from criticism. I'm pretty level headed when it comes to Alabama. Yes, I love the team, but I'm gonna tell it how it is for the most part. And people don't like to hear that.
I'm trying to make sure we're not missing anything in the chat.
No, I do not know names or words. Terrible. I know.
Which, I mean, that kind of seems important when you're doing a talk show, but I don't know.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Hey, we've been
working on it.
Yeah, we've been doing this for 5 years now, 6 years now, Stacey. It's been
2018, August of 2018.
And I still don't know how to say Notre Dame right. I have called Montana Fouts, Hannah Montana. I mean, let's just get it all out there. I'm terrible. My brain don't pick up as fast, but that's why we've been on this air, been on here for 5 years, because y'all still keep coming back. And Stacey,
y'all must be glutton for punishment.
Yeah. So, they're bored on Monday night.
Exactly.
So they gotta listen to us.
Hey, I don't care as long as they're here. I don't care if they're here out of pity.
Yeah, that's right. Pity views are still views.
That's right.
That's right. Yep. Anyway, what a fun show.
Yeah, no doubt.
Jake's
all right,
fired.
guys.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ronnie's got some here. I want to take out anger from football and basketball games. We lost. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be. We need a win against Tennessee bad.
Yeah.
So if they match up there in the semifinals, I hope we skull drag them.
I think we can.
I'll take these. I'll create like a little Canva graphic for our picks too, so we can track them on social media. See who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah, I hope you remember, because I have no idea who I picked. I guess what
I'll do is I'll do like the rounds that are set, and then whoever moves on, obviously, will
okay.
Send a message and we'll do them like that.
And yeah, go ahead, Stacey. I was just going to say something. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, buddy.
I was just going to say, we talked about this. We have a little private chat that we can talk amongst ourselves while you guys are chatting as well, while we're doing the show. We are going to set up, excuse me, a Tide Talk bracket for people to fill out if you want to be for the fans. So if you want to get in there and play with me, Stacey, Joe, play against us in the March Madness tournament, we'll get all that on the air as well on Twitter. That way you can sign up for it. Oh, Thoughtful Metal Man wants to know when the meet and greet is.
Who is Thoughtful Metal Man?
That's Kaysen.
Okay. Martin's at 2:30 on Sunday.
That's a little far of a drive for you, Joe. That's up here in North Alabama.
No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. We do need to get something though sometime. That would be a lot of fun.
We're going to go to a football game this year, so maybe
Tuscaloosa would be the easiest place to do that for sure.
Yeah.
When we make it big time.
How many aliases does Kaysen have?
I mean, he was Bo Nitz's son.
Yeah.
Then he's this one. He's got his own account. I mean, he's got them all over the place.
I need the backstory.
Every one of those accounts is a view, though. So
I want to know the backstory behind Thoughtful Metal Man.
Oh, I'll tell you the backstory.
Okay, good. Here we go.
I think it's 1978. We share our sheriff or our chief Greenhall at the time. He was the only one that was on this particular night was on call, and he had just went home, just got in bed, and he got a call of a strange like UFO had landed in the field, and Joe Summersfield, you know where that's at?
Yeah. So
he got the call, took off. And he's got a Polaroid. There's a Polaroid of it, of a tin man, like a metal man, figure out in the field. And he says that when he took off to run, it just took off after him. It just outran him. Eventually, I think Greenhall lost him and he ran into a ditch. And but he maintains the story to this day. And the last I heard, he lives in Hartselle. But I mean, the town kicked him out of town for that bogus story. So
how do I not know that story?
Oh man, I got the Fall for History book, man. It's some good stuff on there.
Jake knows history, but
1973. I knew it was
He can't say Shebway.
Oh, I love history. All right, we'll get on a tangent about the Civil War. I'll go all night.
Well, let's not go there. That's a little.
Yeah, I might put me to sleep real quick on that one.
All right. Well, guys, the chat was so much fun tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have a Tide Talk after dark sometime because that's.
Hey, that'd be a Twitter space. We talked about doing Twitter spaces.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
That would be fun.
We can do a meet and greet outside of Coleman.
Where are you at, Joe?
I'm in Prattville.
Okay.
Prattville. We have family down in Prattville, so.
Yeah, I don't really leave my house that much.
Yeah.
It's something I'm working on.
Ask Jake where the stop sign came from. It's actually one of the old stop signs in the town. They was selling it a few years ago at our Fall for Falls Festival, and I bought it. So
nothing illegal going on here.
Hey, they was selling it, so I bought it.
Yeah, all right. I think this is a good idea. We've talked about spaces, but kind of amongst ourselves. For those of you on Twitter that are watching the show right now, would y'all be interested in doing a space? I don't know what night. We'll figure that out. But any night, kind of a space where everybody can kind of talk and chat.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to a couple of people who said that they don't remember their YouTube passwords and stuff, and they would definitely be in a space. So.
Yeah, I mean, spaces I've seen, with other people, spaces do pretty well. So if we did I know Thursday or a Friday night space is kind of fun because it's the end of the week and people are sitting there, they got a drink and they're just relaxed. They don't have to worry about work until the next week. So I think space would be a good idea, but we'll work out the details of that.
And Joe's got a good point. A pregame space or a postgame space would definitely be fun. But there's a lot of those.
Oh, no, she said not fun.
Post games are not fun.
Not fun. Never mind.
Only if you win. There's two.
I can't read either.
I think the market's cornered on those too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to go after Christians and then hunters and all that. I don't want to battle those guys.
Right.
We'll have a solid two people in there.
But a pregame space is a good idea because I don't think they do a lot of pregame spaces.
I don't know.
Hunter does a pregame. There's a
pregame
show on Tide, but
right.
I don't know. We'll figure it out. It'll get. I know the fans are.
How about we do a poll on Twitter?
That is a perfect idea.
That's a good idea. I'll get that going.
Yeah, do that.
All right.
Share it and all that. Caitlin said she'll attend it, and I think Big Ben will too.
Oh yeah, we'll need him in there too.
Come on, join our spaces.
Hey, Christian's in the chat. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, he was in there earlier.
Oh,
I didn't know
that.
he was still in here.
Awesome. Thanks for being on, Christian.
Oh,
I met Christian at a basketball game 2 or 3 years ago. I'm trying to think. I think we were playing South Carolina. Kyra Lewis Jr. was still there.
Yeah, that's been 3 years now. 2 or 3?
I think that's when it was. Yeah,
course.
good dude. Good dude.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up the show, guys. We've been going nearly an hour, and I have kids that I need to get calmed down so they can go to bed.
Good luck with that.
But all right, guys, we really appreciate everybody watching. It's been a great show. Gumpsgiving, that's when it was. That's exactly right. That's exactly when it was because I went to the baseball game before the basketball game. All right, well, it's been a lot of fun, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back sometime this week, probably with the SEC tournament going on. We'll kind of play it by ear, and we'll be out there on Twitter with a poll on when y'all would like us to do spaces and how y'all kind of want that to be formatted and all that kind of good stuff. So we'll be in contact there. Once again, thank you so much for watching. We'll talk again soon, and until next time, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.